Pretty remote. We're in the foothills of Tennessee. You're probably not going to find a whole lot of anything right here around us, to be quite honest with you. You might even hear some banjo music in the background every once in a while.
I don't know. I mean, I think it's the ultimate sport fish. It's the ultimate sport fish for a fly rod. From that storm, it put 4.5 inches of water last night. If it looks clear up there, we stop, we drop boats, we come back here and run the shuttle. If it's not, we need to go to that. So I remember taking like the Cabela's book to school with me and like looking at the fishing section of the big, huge annual book, looking at like the stuff, just thinking about it. Like I just enjoyed thinking about the gear even. No one ever told me, no, you cannot fly fish somewhere. So it's like, there's gotta be a way to fly fish here. Why aren't people doing this? Is it because they don't know? Is it because they have never tried it? Why do people only fish with a spinning reel or conventional tackle here? So I decided, okay, well, I'm just gonna fly fish here. How do I figure out how to catch more of these? And I think just that one little question probably rewired my brain and changed my life. My granddad knows, I mean, every freaking smallmouth hole around here because they used to go catch them to eat. He knows a lot of smallmouth rivers, so a lot of it was me just asking him, being like, hey, granddad, where are you catching them at? It's the foothills of the Appalachian Mountains. It's really pretty. It rains a ton. It's almost never not raining here. So everything's always green. The mountains are green, the hills are green. Everything on the river, if you're not looking at water, is just green. Really, really pretty area to be. This is the very southernmost area of the smallmouth bass native range. There's a lot of food, there's a lot of opportunity, there's a lot of growing season. Our fish get bigger quicker than some other places in the country. I personally wouldn't be too surprised if the world record smallmouth bass wasn't somewhere over there. We get big fish. You have a lot of opportunities at big fish, and that's what keeps me coming back.
You can't catch a harder fighting fish, in my opinion, in freshwater. Big flies, you can see the fly, you can see the take. I mean, you can sit there and have a 7 weight in your hand and it'll bow the rod tip to your knuckles.
There's only 2 things that you can control when you're out fishing, and it's how good the food is and how cold the beer is. Some of them are a little more developed than others. Some of them are still getting researched.
What is your favorite species to target?
Smallmouth.
Tell me about your love of smallmouth bass.
I like smallmouth bass. A lot of my love of fly fishing stemmed off of smallmouth bass. I love the places they live. I love the way they eat. They're so aggressive. Often we'll see the eat, especially if you're fishing on the shallower rivers like we were doing, where you get to watch the fish come up out of the depths, out of a log, underneath a rock, and smash a fly. So it's like if you somehow mixed dry fly fishing and streamer fishing together, and then the fish that you're catching fights harder pound for pound than any other freshwater fish. So today we're on one of the lakes here in North Alabama. Other than like people with me and on my boat, I could probably count on one hand the amount of times I've seen people fly fish here. A lot of the people in this area are at least familiar with fly fishing. They call long rods. The air conditioning ruined the South. For what we do, you gotta love tying. I mean, I'm constantly sitting at my vise, you know, working on stuff. I started learning about it, reading about it, asking people, asking conventional fishermen. The reason I started tying was to imitate what the people at the gear store would tell me to throw. Well, how do I make something that looks like that I can throw on a fly rod? That was a lot of the inspiration back from when I was 10 years old tying flies. That's actually a lot of the inspiration for what Blue Line became, which we wanted to focus on bass fishing. 90% of Americans live within like a 30-minute drive of a bass. That's incredible. If you make it a little easier to get into the sport, that's more people that are on your water fishing. That's more people who are going to hopefully love it. You're going to come up with people who become stewards of the river, as in, you know, they're interested in protecting a resource that maybe they didn't even know was 10, 15 minutes from their house. They're going to care if they hear, you know, maybe something in their town is polluting that river. They're going to be like, oh, well, what the heck? I fish there. Definitely it's not for the fish. I mean, I love the fish, but I think fishing's more about, for me, the camaraderie and the, you know, getting out and enjoying nature more than catching the fish. Certainly, I guess that's kind of why we go. That's kind of our excuse to go. I think it's a pretty cool connection to nature, figuring out what fish are doing, where they're doing it, what they're eating. So it's kind of figuring out a different puzzle every time you go fish. And I think that's what keeps me coming back.
Get out there, experience the water, experience nature. Let fishing take you to some of the coolest places that you'll ever see.
There's a lot of stuff in your backyard that you need to go fish too.